Hey everybody, it's Eddie J on Crypto. Hope you're having a good one. There is a lot to unpack. So in the United States, July 4th just passed, but we still have fireworks going on. And yeah, I know that was kind of corny, right? But I don't care. It's crazy out there right now. So Larry Fink, the BlackRock CEO, came out, came out at Rescue, I think it was Rescue Dinner or something like that, and basically said, hey, Bitcoin is digital gold. You should be investing in Bitcoin. What? Okay, he's been thinking that for a long time. BlackRock has been on board with crypto for a long time. So him coming out and making a statement like that wasn't just to make a statement and drum up business. It was to send a shot across the bow of Gary Gensler and the SEC. Now, on top of that, you have other companies like Valkyrie refiling or amending their, spot Bitcoin spot ETFs to name their surveillance counterparties. In this case, Valkyrie tapped Coinbase. I think they're all going to tap Coinbase. Who else are you going to go to? I mean, there are other options. You've got Kraken, Gemini, but why would you not choose the number one centralized exchange in the country? Yeah, that's right. I said it. I said it out loud, full chested too. Now, on top of that, there's a rumor. A couple of Bloomberg analysts had posted last night that they're hearing rumors that the SEC is supposed to meet with the applicants for Bitcoin spot ETFs. That's the proper way to say it. Next week. What? Yeah. So run that back. Why would they meet? Well, they would meet because they want to go over their applications. But if they're meeting as a group, I would think that they're going to be discussing the rules and regulations around the ETFs. And I would also think that they're not going to call for that kind of a meeting just to turn around and say, nah, we're not going to do it. Because then you'd have a room full of heavy hitters that are going to say, I wish you would. Because that's a lot of money to be thrown at you if they decide to jump up and take you to court. BlackRock has an unending amount of money they can play with. So does Fidelity and a couple others. So I would think that would actually signal maybe there's capitulation going on. Maybe the SEC is trying to save face and do it in a way that, okay, we told you what you were missing and you went and addressed it. Maybe they have a few more things that they need to address. But I think that list is going to be real short. Real short. If I was the SEC and I was Gary Gensler, I would not want all these people in a room just to tell them, nah, we're not going to give it to you. Because you can do that via email. You can do that with a phone call. You can do that in a lot of different ways. Then call people up and say, hey, let's sit down and talk. So if that is true, I think Bitcoin spot ETFs would be imminent. Serious and true. Just that would be huge. So Larry Fink getting out there and saying that, last night is nice. And you're going to see a nice pop in Bitcoin today and probably across the market today. So you'll see a nice spike and it'll probably come down a bit, profit taking. But I think over the long haul, you're going to see this is yet another move where things are just going to shoot up. Serious and true. I think that's going to be a very big deal. For those of you that might be looking out the window behind me, that's actually just the dew coming up. So, it'll dry off as soon as the sun hits. It'll all just go away. So sorry. You can tell. You can at least tell when I'm shooting my videos, right? Binance.us is in a world of hurt. A world of hurt. They've seen their Bitcoin, holdings drop about 94%, something like that, 94, 96%. Their trading volume has dropped about 93%. I mean, their market share is about 1%. That's a world of hurt. That's a world of hurt. So do I expect them to survive? It's possible. It's possible. But the SEC is having an effect, is getting the effect that they wanted. That's literally what's going on right now. They picked on a small one, and right now they're winning. Right. So I don't know if Binance.us is going to be able to maintain you know their solvency at this kind of rate. Maybe they do, just because, right? It's not to say that the company doesn't have money. It's just that their trading volume is significantly down, as well as what users, what assets are being held on the platform are down. There's a difference. It's not to say that the company is broke. I don't think they're broke, to say the least. I think they're fine in that regard. It's just that their business is basically dwindled to almost nothing. I mean, less than a 1% market share in the United States. That's saying a lot. You're smaller than Kraken. You're smaller than Gemini. I mean, those are big in the United States, but they're not huge around the world. So that's saying something. Another company that's taking on a chin is Huobi. Huobi has seen everything drop. It's been so bad at Huobi that people are thinking, I wonder if they're going to stay around. They've also had issues in the past, so people are wondering if they're going to. I mean, they used to be in Asia, a high flyer in Asia, but right now, not so much. So that's two companies that are just not enjoying themselves, where they are. So that's something to contemplate. Something that I found to be majorly cool, not cool, but interesting. Twitter got licensed in New Hampshire, Michigan, and Missouri, basically to be a money transmitter. If you really stop and think about it, it's what they're saying is basically it's like PayPal. They've been at it for months, for a long time, trying to do things to try to make Elon Musk's dream about Twitter is to make it like this super app. Now, I know things look really down for Twitter right now. You had Threads that launched today, and a lot of people are on there. They're making it easy for people to move off of Twitter and onto Threads. You take your blue check mark with you. So if you're slick, you go buy a blue check mark on Twitter, because that's what it sounds like. It sounds like you go buy a verified check mark on Twitter, then go sign up on Threads, and boom, because it transfers over. You've been verified. Done. So that that is interesting. So there are just things that you look at and you're kind of like, wow, that's kind of big. But when I look at that, I'm also wondering, what they would do. Because, I mean, if you think about it, they're trying to do maybe you don't recall, Elon used to be an early shareholder in PayPal. Okay. So if you look at what he's trying to do over Twitter, it sounds like, smells like, looks like he's trying to do the same thing over there that PayPal does. Now, imagine if that also involved Doge. They're not saying anything about Doge. They're not mentioning Doge. Of course not, because he's got problems around that, right? But imagine if it did. That's what people are starting to look at. And now that they've acquired those licenses, it's much needed good news, right? It really is much needed good news for them. So I am paying attention to that. Now, let's get into this Big Brother thing that's going on in China. It's no different. It's always been Big Brother over there. But I think it kind of epitomizes the fear that people like me have, when it comes to CBDCs. China's got their banks, not to be surprised, involved with linking CBDCs to Social Security cards. Talk about controlling. Wow. Just all kinds of wow right there. Anyway, you know what we should do? We should get into the numbers. Let's go ahead and refresh this, because I haven't done it in a little bit. It's been a few minutes. I clicked that. There you go. Let's make sure everything fits in their little boxes. There you go. And on the downside, we come down to about here, which means there's nothing that I'm actually looking at in this list of who's down. There's nothing there. Everything else to me is just sideways. Because again, it's that 5%. It's that 5% swing that I'm looking for. Greater than 5% move, whether it be down, up, or between, you know, this number and a negative number and zero. I'm just looking for what something a little bit more than 5%, right? And I'm looking for trending. So those are the things that I pay attention to. You come over here to the plus side and you swing all the way down to about here, and you can see Pepe is up 6%. Again, you could be playing Pepe just because it is a high mover right now, but it can go boom and bust in a heartbeat, right? We've seen that because there's no utility. It's just something where people are hoping to make money. In that definition, it's a security, right? Anyway, so looking at Pepe, 6%. Let's see, Solana's moved 8%. Let's see, anybody else on here that I'm paying attention to? Waves up 10%. Bitcoin Cash up 11%. Anybody else over here? That's about it. That's about all I'm paying attention to on this list. Monero moving 4% is not a big deal, but Monero has been moving kind of positively as of late. But those are the things that I'm looking for right now. That said, I am paying attention to what Larry Fink said, right? Him coming out and calling Bitcoin digital gold is actually a big deal. And the reason, and not just because he's sending a shot across the bow of the SEC and Gary Gensler, but because he's actually signaling there's about to be a bull market. I think we're like right there, because if you see all of these companies getting in the way they're getting in publicly, remember, a lot of them have been doing a lot of things behind the scenes, but now we're talking about big swings in public. I think that signals that there's going to be a bull run in a major fashion. And again, you're talking about next year in 2024, there's going to be a halving event for Bitcoin, which is also going to drive prices going up. This is what I'm talking about, right? That's really what I'm talking about. When you look at things on the big board, Ethereum above the 1900, you know I love that. Bitcoin above 31,000, you know I love that. You know, Solana is up big. XRP not really up that much. Is that 47.9 cents? Not really up that much. Matic is not up that much. It's at 69 cents. That said, if I think that the market is going to shoot up, these are the times that we should be ensuring that we DCA. That's what me and my kids are doing. We're making sure that, you know, every time we get paid, we're dropping a little bit in. And I don't care what amount of money it is. I heard somebody scoff at, oh, they only put $25 a week. Well, maybe that's all they have, dude. But saving is saving. You could be a little kid with a lemonade stand putting in $3 a week. By the time that kid grows up, $3 a week, it means something. So I don't scoff at how much money you have to put away. I don't care if it's 25 cents. Well, I care only because you have to have enough money to transact, right? But if you keep putting in, sooner or later, I think it's going to pay off. That's what I tell my kids. We've got different investment vehicles and we do different things. I just had a long conversation with my son last night about real estate and the structure of real estate, where we should be looking and where we should not be looking. He sent me this opportunity because we have a tool and we have a deal. Like he'll do the cursory research, and then if he finds something that passes that research, so he's not too acutely focused on one thing, he shoots that information over to me, and we have a real estate tool that I built that will take that information, tie it to fair market value for rent and all this other stuff, and let you know, does it pass the 1% rule? Does it pass the Johnson 1% rule? Yes, there is a difference. There's a slight difference in how we do it versus what everybody else does, which is why we have both. And it'll tell us about that particular property as far as having it as a rental property would fare. And so I do that, and then if it passes that, then he picks it up again and does a deeper dive on area, crime rate, schools, all that kind of stuff to find out where it is. Then we also take a deep dive into, well, what are we doing with regard to, the municipality rules, regulations, laws about things like in Jersey, you've got to come with your own refrigerator. Doesn't sound strange. People don't want to have their food in somebody else's funky refrigerator. It's a big deal. But I say all of this to say that you have to have your own process by which you do things. You get your news from whatever credible sources. Mona and I had a conversation. We always have a conversation about where we're getting our news, how much weight we're putting into the person that's giving the news or the news source. Does that news make sense? Right? And as you do that, you start to realize I'm starting to whittle down the places where I can get news because I'm not trusting of all places, right? I'm also interested in who's consistently getting news first. So every day I try to give you a little tidbit about where my head is at, and I'll go into real estate. I have a few people that have asked me to go into real estate a little bit deeper. Cisco, I have not forgotten about you. I know that you want me to do a little bit of a deeper dive between FedNow and XRP. I have a little bit more research to do with that, and then I'll shoot a video about it, all right? Anyway, this is Eddie J on Crypto. Hope what I'm doing is helpful to you. Let me know what you're looking for, and I will try to address it as soon as possible. You have a good one. Bye-bye.